Thanks for being here, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, I know.
We've been talking about this for a minute.
Yeah, we have. I think the first time I met you was at maybe the Slice of SF, like going away party at Standard Deviant, which might have been, what, like 18 or 19?
No, it couldn't have been. But I know what you're talking about. You were making pizzas there.
Yeah, it was intense.
It was intense. I was like, oh man, they're cranking.
Yeah, he brought a crowd, man. He had a following.
I miss that guy.
Yeah, George he's solid. I like what he did for the pizza community here. He was really honest, straightforward, wasn't there to hate, just kind of gave his opinion, and he knew his stuff too.
Do you ever see him again, like at all?
No, man. He's like...
He cut out carbs, huh?
Last I heard, he was getting married, or he might have been engaged at that party. And then he still might be working in the city, downtown somewhere. But I remember him saying, I'm going out on my own terms. And I was like, I respect that.
Good for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he was one of the first podcast guests that I had on after quitting podcasting. And he was episode number like 8 or 9, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, he was interview number like 5 or 6. I thought owning a pizzeria, still do, is like one of the greatest things that you can do. I love being able to serve people, and I love podcasts. I love learning from podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I was just like, this could be the way to kind of bridge that gap from wanting to leave my job to becoming a pizzeria owner.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that. If we could dig deeper off, camera or whatever, maybe later. But no, I've always been interested, like, how do people get started, and how did you get started with the pizza podcast? It's super interesting to me to hear people's stories. But yeah, George, good guy, man. I like George.
Yeah, he is. I was very sad when he said he was gonna retire. I didn't believe it at first. But George, if you're listening, buddy, if you have that secret account, you're tuning in to the Longbridge episode.
I wonder if he was able to sell it.
Huh.
I don't even know if it's still active anymore.
Let's check. I don't think it was active, and I don't know that he would have sold it. I mean, he could have sold the blog, the data, but
I might have talked to him about it. He said it wasn't.
No.
There's not much for it.
Sorry, this page isn't available.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good for you, George. Took your shit and left.
My first memory of you, to be honest, I think we started talking about this podcast and us finally doing it. One of the memories that I have of you very fondly is when we first really got to talking was at LA Pizza Fest.
Yep.
I saw that you were going to be there, and I was like, why the hell is he going to be there from San Francisco? But then, of course, you were the first slice that I had to grab, and then probably one of the last slices, because you were right next to the entrance. And so I went to you first, and I was like hyping you up with people around, because I had already tried your pizza. But then at the end, everyone was cleaning up, and you and I just had this one-on-one conversation. I wish I recorded it then. But I just remember you being fully present, giving me your time, and just dropping knowledge. And so I wanted to thank you for that.
Yeah. I remember that also. And that Pizza Fest was a great time. And it was nice to have another Bay Area presence there. Because I think a lot of other people were like, all right, cool, San Francisco Pizzeria. Maybe I'll go there when I'm up there.
Yeah.
But we had a great conversation. And it was a great way to end the festival too, talking with someone from the Bay Area about pizza and life. That
was cool. Why did you do that festival? because you're right. It's like someone sees you there, maybe they'll add you to like their saved Yelp or Google places.
Yeah. So I first met Steve Dolinsky from Pizza City podcast. I did that, I think 2018 in March, maybe 2019. I think it was 2018. And then he hit me up before LA Pizza Fest and said, hey, do you want to be part of this? And why I did it is just to figure out how to do it. It was just, we got to get to LA with our dough. We weren't going to make it there. How are we going to do this? How are we going to serve the pizza? They wanted 2,000 portions, I think, like a 12-inch pizza cut into 8. So we have a transit van, no refrigeration in it. So we took 2 refrigerators from here, bought that Jackery, another portable battery, strapped it to the van, loaded it up. My business partner drove it down with our kitchen lead, Jose. I was fortunate enough to fly and check out a brewery and like Roberta's out there. So I got there the night before on Thursday. The van comes down Friday. We load it up into the refrigerated trucks on site. And like we got down there and it was like, whoa, all right, we got there. So once we put the dough in the reefer, we're all nervous. Like, hey, is this reefer, is anyone coming through to like mess with this thing? We had guys taking the temperature on the walls. Like, all right, we're in the low 40s. All good, all good.
Reefer is
just a box truck with refrigeration inside.
Got it.
Yeah, so a lot of food distributors, they're all reefers. If you need to transport something cold, basically. But what some people will do, like at Outside Lands or big festivals like this, they just use them basically for big refrigerators. And I was pretty paranoid, but the guys had great support. They had these techs out there. They knew their stuff. And we got there in the morning and the dough was absolutely fine. We temped it. It was like 42. For a reefer, that's fine, And we use sourdough, so it's not like
gonna
moving
blow
super
up on
fast.
You. Yeah.
So we got there, we got set up, we started making the pizzas, putting them on the rack. We're doing 12-inch tomato pies. Or no, it was like a cheese pizza, sauce on top. That's what we did with some oregano and pecorino. And we're just go, nonstop. And we get pizzas on the rack. They open the gates, people flood. We're reheating the pies, we're making new pies. And it was a great experience to figure out this like game of Tetris, to get to LA with our dough, to store it, to make it, to serve it. And that's why I did it. It's fun. It's, for me, a lot of the time, it's the process is that I enjoy. Yeah. And that whole thing to get that executed is a huge challenge, but I had a great support team. My business partner, Andrew, was the one who drove the van down. And I had a friend who lives in LA. Him and his wife came, helped us out for the day. So there was 5 of us there. And we got the portions out. And I know not everyone did because people weren't racking pies like us. They were just stretching, topping, cooking. And we started at like 9 a.m. I think the VIP was 11 to 12. So we were making pizza nonstop for 2 hours. And some people were like, dude, these guys what are they doing, man? They're moving around like maniacs, like nonstop.
It hasn't started yet. Why are they moving?
Yeah, but to do that volume, that was the only way to do it. And that pizza festival was so well run and so organized that every person I talked to had such a great experience there. So shout out to Steve. And I think it was Helen was his assistant. But she really was top notch and had it so organized. What'd you think of it?
I loved LA. I didn't get to go the following year, but my experience was coming off of Chicago the first year. And I thought, well, this is very upscale and kind of different. It wasn't the all you can eat buffet that you had at Chicago, but it also wasn't massive lines. It had like an LA finesse to it. I thought it was great.
Yeah. I think that's a great description. And I had some friends who live in San Diego, drive up for the event. And they just said how well ran it was with, it was all you could drink. I mean, you can only drink so much, right? When you're eating all these carbs, you know, you get like a few beers or wine, no lines really. Probably for Apollonia's the next day, but
Apollonia's and Truly.
Truly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those were the lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been to Truly yet. That's the one, right? Dana Point.
Good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been lucky to be able to go a couple times, and holy shit. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time I'm in LA. I don't know when that'll be. Maybe a Disneyland trip with my family. Like, hey.
Not another LA Pizza Fest?
I mean, maybe. It didn't look like they did really any out-of-town pizza makers. I think they did some out-of-town speakers this year, but I would go back. I'd go back, take new team members, let them see a new thing, experience a new thing. I'd go back. It was fun.
Apply what you've learned from having gone to LA the first time and San Francisco last year.
Exactly. And you know what? I don't know how we did it, but there is not that much more that we would change. The only problem, like I was telling you before this, was the Jackery ran out. So the refrigerators weren't running for the last hour. We were driving on the freeway, but we kept the door shut and all the dough worked out. So that's really, like, I just need backup battery for the refrigeration. But other than that, it was freaking smooth, man. It was a lot of fun.
That Anchor Solus I was talking to you about, it's a $2,000 purchase. I think you and I might need to invest in one and share it or something, right?
Yeah. I'm going to definitely check that one out, man.
Yeah. No, that's actually a very good tip. I like what you said about pre-baking. I've been doing some catering lately, and that rush that you have to get through, right? Everyone wants food at a certain time. And to be able to just say, my fire is like 1 or 2 minutes versus, I don't know, how long are you baking here?
Here with our new oven, we're at a 6-minute bake.
Right. Yeah. And so that 4 to 5 minutes is everything.
Yeah. And the funny thing about catering and some of these events, at least when we do it, everyone's like, oh yeah, people will just be eating gradually. You know, it's more people just socializing, have happy hour. That's BS. Everyone wants to eat at the same time. You see one person eating, then everyone eats. So my advice to anyone doing catering is understand that everyone's going to want to eat within the same 30 minutes to an hour. Because once one person starts, then everyone does it. So it's important. Get like that first person to start it when you want, because everyone's always hesitant, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I want to be the first one. So get Uncle Bob to go and start slamming pizza, and then everyone else will.
I feel that.
But the racking, so when we do our catering, everything's par-baked. We par-bake everything here at the shop to about 80%. Then we bring them on site and then heat them up because there's no other way. I was listening to that one guy, Siler, that you did, that podcast. That was insane what he was doing. That was like, hell yeah. Like, that was savage. Like 2 different trailers, like something like 100 pizzas in an hour, or feeding 250 people in like 45 minutes.
Fresh pies.
Yeah.
It is. But I think You know, he has his way and we have our way, and it still works.
Yeah.
But I think it just comes down to like your setup, right? What kind of materials you have, and you don't have your kitchen. That's his kitchen. That's what he's used to baking off of. Whereas if you go to a festival, you might have your electric oven, you might have a shared fridge, but like, dude, you're in this completely new environment.
Yeah, you're not in your element.
No.
You're not in your element. So when you do yours, is it unis, like 3 unis or something? Stretch them, bake them, maybe par bake some?
Somewhere between 2 to 4. Stretch them, par bake them. Sometimes we'll do fresh if I'm caught up.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll do fresh when we've run out of par bakes.
Yeah.
But yeah, the pressure's on and the time is on, and everyone's kind of looking at you when the buffet is empty, and you don't want to be in that feeling, right?
What's your like ideal wheelhouse for amount of guests for your setup? You know, if it's 3 ovens, can that handle 50 people, 100 people?
I think 3 ovens can handle 100 people. I think 2 ovens can handle under 100. It can do 100, but you just have to have that. If you can do par bakes, cook them in a minute, high heat, I think 100 in theory could work on 2 ovens. But it's hard because you're cooking on high. I will say I haven't done it with the Coda 2 Max yet, but the way the burners are set up, it's harder to burn your pie because, yeah, I don't know if you've seen people put those like a brick inside of their uni.
No.
Yeah, they put a brick in front of their uni so that the flame isn't right in front of your crust.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a heat shield. The Coda 2 Max has it built in. So it like the flame goes up much higher, and there's this like metal barrier that doesn't burn the side of your crust. And when you're cooking on high all day, every day, that's what you're risking. But so I haven't tried it yet, but I have a feeling that you can crank out of that oven. I'm excited to try it.
All right, since we're on the topic,
yeah,
you can edit this out.
No, it's okay.
Let's talk bottom heat on those ovens.
Yeah.
Because, so what I use on site are these old Blackstones I bought 12 years ago. It's got a rotisserie motor, but it heats the bottom stone and it creeps over the side.
Yeah.
And I just discovered the Halo, which has an infrared hitting the bottom stone and then the side heat. And they rip. Like, you don't have to stop. You could just keep going. How is the bottom heat? And, do you got to give it a couple minutes to get back to where it needs to be?
I think that's where it helps having 2 or more ovens, because then you can alternate. If you're on high and you've already saturated some of your oven and you're really just flashing the pizzas, that stone retention's still there, I would say, especially if you're just flashing your pizzas. My last event, we did 60 people, 2 uni ovens and a home oven to bake the Detroits. But for the most part, all of my like thins were on those uni ovens. Yeah, I think we were able to crank it out. But I think there is a deficit because if you're cooking on fresh pies, you are going to lose a lot of stone heat. Yeah. But anything longer than a minute, anything under than a minute, I think you're going to bounce back pretty quickly, especially if you're on high.
Yeah. So you said you did Detroit on a home oven. Is that like the Volt? Did you bring the Volt out?
No, my client had a guest house.
Okay.
And so they gave us access to the oven in there.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect. Like, I was like, I offered to bring my Volt. And they were like, well, you could plug it into our guest house. And I was like, you have a guest house? Does it have a kitchen? They're like, yes. Does it have an oven? Perfect. Because I can only make 1 Volt. 1 pizza in a Volt, right? Whereas if I'm using your home oven, I could probably like cook 4 at a time. No problem. So we did that. You asked me about the Volt though.
Yeah.
You okay to talk about that?
Oh,
Or were you considering?
Yeah, why I asked you about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this Saturday coming up, we're doing this event down at Chase Center. We're friends with Harmonic Brewing, and they have a tap room there, Harmonic Thrive City. So they're having this event called Harmonic Jam, where it's going to be some live music out on the patio, great views of the bay. We used to do pop-ups at their old brewery in Dogpatch, our neighborhood now, all the time, but they closed the production brewery. Now they just have the tap room near Chase, and they want us to do pizza there, but all they have is electricity. So I could get a couple turbo fans, which is basically just a small convection oven, and we could reheat par bakes in there. But I was thinking about the Volt because I don't know, that it seems like maybe a good option because the bottom heat I would think is always on. That's not the case.
It's not the case. Well, it heats up quickly, but from what I've been told, from the engineer who worked on it, it's always constantly going up, bottom, bottom. And it's like, it's basically one burner at a time, whether that's the top all the time or the bottom all the time, or it's constantly switching heat. Only one burner is working, but that doesn't mean it doesn't heat up the bottom and the top fast enough. But I will say that you will, I don't know, are you doing thins or thins?
Yeah, just traditional round.
I haven't tried volume in that yet. So
okay.
I would say that, like, you know, Joey Raya, on Clubhouse one time, he was like, never do something for the first thing for the, like, never do the first, you know what I'm talking about?
We're notorious. Like, we implement a new system on Fridays here.
Yes.
It's my old AGM was like, Neal, this is great that, we're trying a new system to improve, be better. Can we not do it on Friday? And for some reason, like, the thought would come to my mind, and we're like, hey guys, Friday, let's try this new thing. So we don't do that anymore. But yeah, that's kind of what you're saying, of like, go stress test it for your friends and family in your backyard, or do it yourself and make tomato pies, but do not go do a catering or harmonic jam with some Volt. So my thinking behind that, why I didn't even entertain the thought of the Volt, Volt's made for home, right?
Period.
Volt's made for home. At least these turbo convection fans are commercial ovens. They are not that high powered, and it's going to be a whole thing, and we'll see how it goes. But at least they're commercial. Don't bring stuff for your home for commercial use. It's going to not work out.
The turbo ones, are they conveyor?
No, convection.
Convection.
Yeah.
So they have the doors that open, pop up.
Exactly. But this one's not that big. It's just got 2 racks, so it's just like a single door. You could throw 2 pies in. I think maybe it gets up to 475. But with those ovens, they take some time to recover. So hopefully there'll be other vendors at this event, because they're expecting maybe 500 people. So
it's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a lot of people for those ovens. If I was able to use propane, I have 2 Halos and 3 Blackstones, 5 ovens, par bake, no problem.
Yeah. No
problem at all. But, Chase, they're not allowing propane on that patio, and I don't blame them. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I want to look more into the Turbo Chef conveyor belt ovens.
Yeah. So those, I think they're ventless, right? They don't have to be under a hood. So I talked to someone about those, and you probably know who I talked to about them. He says they break, and you have to have a lot of them in storage ready to swap out parts or swap them out. If you're doing high volume, they're just not built for that.
Interesting.
I know some pizzerias in the city here are using those and they get great pizza out of them, but you got to be ready to fix them or replace them pretty often.
Yeah, dude. If your oven doesn't work, you're
not making any money.
No.
But to be able to open something without a hood, you gotta weigh it out. If that gets you started, yeah, why not? If you want to get started, whoever, right? Like, either find a space without a hood, put that in, or try to find a space with a hood. That would be my recommendation. But building out a space and installing a hood, depending on how many stories and what's above you, it's a lot of money, because we did that. Yeah, so we started in 2013. We applied for everything, and we had the Capone electric oven, and not a lot of people were using those ovens, and you're able to have an inline fan, and you could see it up there. See that bigger one? Mm-hmm. That was our exhaust. So imagine a fan in the middle of that and the oven there, up straight out to the street.
Yeah. And does it blow out steam on a cold day? Can you see it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely. So that was fine, but more people started doing that. And that's okay if you're like a bakery, not with raw meat.
Right.
And I agree with them changing the law on it, because it's a fire hazard, straight up. When we turned that off and we built the hood, we looked inside. It's just layered.
Of grease?
Yeah.
Oh,
no. You're cooking pizza in there. We didn't have any problems, but it's a liability.
Yeah.
It's a freaking liability. So
you don't use that vent anymore?
No.
It's just there.
It's just there. And we went up. We only had to go up through one story, and the tenant was super cool. Had to build a huge box in this space, but he had the space. It wasn't super intrusive or anything. But then we built, I think it's a 16-foot hood. And that cost $100,000.
Oh.
Yeah. So, it's worth it. It's an investment that we wouldn't have been able to afford in the beginning, but absolutely worth it. We did it after 4 years of being open, and we built it.
Okay. So your advice is to just get started with the bare bones, whether that is like getting a conveyor belt oven and just having a spare, or maybe an uni, and then build up and expand as you have your proof of concept.
Yes, that's what I did. And it depends on your experience as an operator. So my business partner and I had no experience of being operators.
But you had experience in pizza.
We had experience in pizza. We were line cooks. We were never even managers. We went from line cook to owner. So we knew there's a lot of stuff we had to learn. And we weren't going to put a bunch of money that, first of all, we didn't have. And second of all, we would have fell flat on our face.
Why? Why do you think that?
Because I didn't know how to run the business at all.
That growth is just about skill acquirement, right?
Yeah, it's about time.
Time.
For us, it was about time. So the way it went for us is Andrew and I were here 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. First year, like every day. Every day, me and Andrew working together, having fun.
That seventh day, were you guys closed, or did you just take turns not being here?
Closed on Sundays.
Gotcha.
Closed on Sundays. So we were able to hang out with our girlfriends. Now they're our wives. We didn't have any children. We were pretty young, and we were just like, let's do it. We had no responsibilities other than making sure this business ran. And yeah, my advice, going back to your question, if you had a lot of skill and you knew what you were doing, sure, build out a bigger place, spend more money. If it's like your second place, yeah, go for it. But given my situation, having no experience being a manager or owner, we just shoestringed it together and opened, and then said, let's see what happens. And that's what we did. So
one of the things pizza makers spend the most money on is cheese. Every time I have a catering event, cheese is my biggest ingredient cost. But what if I told you there's a cheese company out there that lets you earn cash back for every pound of cheese purchased? I'm talking about Bacio Cheese. And their Gold Club Rewards members receive their rewards card every month that can be used wherever Visa is accepted. So the more cheese you buy, the more you can earn. Literally, you get paid to use Bacio Cheese. Now that is cool. Learn more at Bacio Cheese using the link in the show notes. Let's talk about pan pizzas for a quick second. What are you using to press out your dough? I found out that whatever fat you use greatly affects the flavor of your pizza. And that is why the only brand I trust with my pizza is Cordo olive oil. Taste is everything, and other brands and other fats pale in comparison. Do you want to taste the difference? Go to cordo-olive.com using the link in the show notes. You can purchase a bottle there, or if you're an operator, you can get a free tasting. Just message me and I'll connect you with them. I'll leave my contact in the show notes. Thank you, Cordo Olive Oil, for sponsoring the podcast.
You and Andrew were both line cooks, not at the same place, right? One was at Pizza Hacker, the other one was at Tony's?
yeah, so Andrew and I went to high school together.
Gotcha.
Then we were roommates in college. Then I came home in 2009 and he went to DC to live with his girlfriend out there. He was cooking at restaurants out there. And I started making pizza here, which began with Jeff, Pizza Hacker. And then after working with him for about a year, I got the job at Tony's, and I worked there for a couple of years. When that ended, Andrew moved back here, and we got together, wrote the business plan, and then opened up. While I was working at Tony's, I worked dinner there. For lunch, I worked at Del Popolo on that crazy food truck that he built out of a shipping container.
That's really cool. Was he the first
to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, he was the first to do that. I learned a lot from John and being on that truck. And it was fun, man. Like the stories of people coming up to the truck and they're like, what is this thing? You know, did you ever see it or eat from it?
I have not seen it in person, only on Instagram. And apparently the truck is down right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I will see it.
Yeah, well, it's down because it might kind of be down. You know, when you have that much weight on something, he had these crazy like bumper things for the oven, but he had to replace, I think, the floor or something in the oven. But it's down in LA with him now. So it's not even in the Bay Area anymore.
Yeah.
I hope it makes a return though.
It'd be cool. It'd be really cool to see. So wait, before we get back to like building this, what else did you learn from John? Because I want to get him on the show one day, but I've heard great things about Pizza Hacker too, and Tony's of course. But like, what were some of the great things that you learned from John?
John, which I really liked at the time, was super straightforward. Like, no bullshit. Here's your job. Here's what I expect. Here's what I want you to do. You're going to get paid. And let's go. Like, no bullshit of like wishy-washy.
Give me an example. Like, define bullshit for me.
He tells me to make a pizza one day this way, and another day he tells me to make it another way. Like, he's uncertain how he really wants his pizza. John knew this is how I want it done. Do it this way. Do it the same way every time. And when you're done stretching and topping the dough, scrape the dough boxes. I want them all cleaned at the end. Got it. Let's do it. Like, perfect. You know, and that's one thing I learned from clear communication. Very clear. And he set standards and expectations. I'm not saying my other people I've worked for didn't do that. They did that. But John, it was such a straightforward operation. All we did was make pizza, Neapolitan pizza. So it was really easy to set clear standards, expectations of, all right, bam, this is how we do it. Let's do it. And let's get out of here. 3-hour service, 11 to 2. All right, you got to be up by 2:30. Scrape all the dough boxes, go over to Tony's, work another 5 hours.
Wow. And back then, during the truck days, was it like pop-ups, gigs? Was it the truck was planted somewhere and people would like follow on Twitter? What was the business model?
So it was a little bit of both. When I was there, it was pop-up because it was early enough, like 2010, 2011 maybe, where you could still get street permits as long as there wasn't a restaurant in a certain distance of you.
Sure.
And there wasn't many food trucks then. But then he also did the weddings, private catering, offices, all that. So he did a little bit of both. I worked for another food truck, Casey's Pizza. That was right before I opened here.
And I didn't realize he had a food truck.
Yeah, so he was the first pizza food truck going around the city.
Just kidding. I do.
And he got in early enough where he had some prime locations downtown on like New Montgomery.
Like he claimed
California.
Those places?
He applied for them early enough and you get the permit. And he was early enough to where there wasn't as many food trucks trying to apply. He got in early and he got prime locations.
Got it.
And when I was on that truck too, he also did do the catering and stuff, but he was able to rock lunch in like downtown Fidei, and we would crank for like 2 hours. It was solid.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And so you acquired all these skills, right, from working at these different places. Andrew moves back. And then where did you two meet up and say, let's start a pizzeria?
I mean, we were always in contact. I visited him out in DC. He came out here because his family lives out here. But he was up in Tahoe. So we went from DC to Tahoe. And he came back down from Tahoe. He was living there for a couple of years, cooking in restaurants. And I was in pizza. He was doing pizza too.
In Tahoe?
Yeah.
What was the name? Do you know? Because I'm trying to see. Like,
it was more of an Italian spot. It was in Tahoe City.
Got it.
I should know this, but I don't. It's not there anymore. But he was doing pizza and they had pasta and entrees and stuff. And so we got back down here and we're like, all right, let's open a pizzeria. And we started scouting out locations, like where do we want to be in the city. And Dogpatch, we came here and we had like a good vibe. It was, not gonna lie, a little selfish. I live on the peninsula and so does he. And this is probably the easiest neighborhood to get to from the peninsula.
Yeah, for real. Super easy.
Yeah. So
I used to drive to Soma, working at Sunset Squares for a bit. And like, sometimes you just get caught on that, like on the way there. But like here, it's like right off the city.
Yep. And so we liked the vibe. We liked the convenience. There wasn't a pizzeria in Dogpatch. There was someone, Pacino, amazing Italian restaurant. Probably they opened up, I don't know, maybe like 2007 or sometime around then. So they've been here for a while. They're a staple, amazing part of the community. But they're more like Italian restaurant that had pizza. So we're like, all right, good vibe, good location. And something became available. This was an old sandwich shop. So was already permitted for like food service. Had the sinks, it had the bathroom, it had the power. Didn't have the hood, but we knew when we talked to the oven company that it'd be all right with an inline fan to the street. And the landlord was cool with that. So then we opened up here in 2014 with 1,000 square feet.
Where did it end from?
So that's the original entrance. You see where that camera is hanging?
Yeah.
That was a wall.
Right.
And then we'll go in the kitchen later, but this is one square. And every square here is about like 450 square feet. We had another square behind this, and that was the kitchen.
Wow.
Yeah.
So wait, that's like 900 square feet. You said there was 11.
Or it's
More or
I
less.
said about 1,000.
Okay. Oh,
so
1,000, sorry.
I'm not sure if it's exactly 450 square feet, but we opened up like just right at about 1,000 square feet.
Got it. What was the rent back then?
Man, you have to no. I think about 4,000.
4,000 a month. So
Yeah.
$4 a square foot.
Yeah, 4 foot. I think. Yeah, 4 foot. Because
right.
that's basically what this neighborhood's going for.
Still.
Yeah, maybe a little lower. A lot of it depends on how much square footage you have. So we're in this massive industrial mixed-use building. As you take more, you pay a little less.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
so-
I see. So that's how it's been able to. Your expansion has actually caused you to like get lower dollar per square foot.
Yeah, a little bit. Not a lot, but we have a really great landlord, and they're super reasonable and exactly what you described.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I have an episode coming out, and we just talked about how there are some good landlords out there that really take care of you, and that's so important. I'm glad you guys found one.
Yeah, so there's a whole business partner thing. I would almost say your landlord is like just almost like a business partner, because it used to be location, right? Sometimes I think it's landlord lease location. Don't get me wrong, location is very, very important, right? Like you got to be in a good location. But your landlord could really make your life hard. And your lease, how it's structured, you really got to like take that thing to a lawyer, have your options. I'd say a good lease would be a 5-year with, I get two more options of 5 years. So I can get in for 15 years. Some landlords do it, some landlords don't. Because think, you build out a restaurant, if we're doing it the organic way like us, it's going to take time. It's going to take a couple years to get the steam, and that's how it was here. It's just slow organic growth. Well, if you only have 5 years, by the time you're running and your landlord doesn't renew, then what?
The investment that you make in the hood, the 100K is gone, right? Because that's theirs.
That's theirs.
Yeah, you made that tenant improvement, but whatever is in the building that someone had described it, if you turn the restaurant upside down and whatever falls, that's yours.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So like if you make that investment and you're out of there in 5 years, good luck. That sucks.
Yeah. So that's why, landlord, very important, lease. All three are very, very important, but it's not that location anymore.
It's interesting you broke it up in that way. That's great advice. What other legal advice did you get when showing your lease to a lawyer?
Ours was super straightforward. The one concern we did have a little bit is that they don't really offer many long-term leases in this building.
Why?
It's kind of a mom and pop landlord.
I see.
And what they explained is they showed us their track record of how long-term they've had other tenants. We're talking like 20 years, 30 years, right? Like these are honest landlords who are fair and they're not going to screw you. But, you know, I would get it if I'm a landlord, you lock someone in for 15 years and they end up being, you know, a total pain. But they've owned the building for a long time, and what they have is their track record that proves to someone like me, you know what? I might not get 15 years, but I've seen that there's people in here for 30. And I talked to other people in the building, and they're like, they're very fair landlords. So our lease was really, really straightforward.
The 2 5-year options, does that guarantee what for your part? Because it's like an option to renew. Is it an option for them to say no?
No, it would be an option for us to say yes.
Got it. But is that rent? Is there like a rent increase schedule?
Yeah, it goes up by cost of living each year.
Got it.
That's in our lease, like, and that's pretty normal. It's not drastic, but it goes up. You plan in your budget, it's going up.
Got it. So you pretty much have a 15-year lease that you could technically have as long as you like the space, you can still afford it, but it's pretty transparent is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So bring me back to like starting. $4,000 a month is still a pretty nice, solid amount of money for someone who quote unquote didn't have much to start with, right?
Yeah.
Getting a pizzeria, like what did you do to fund all of this?
To get the money, the first amount of money was asking friends and family. And we opened up for 100.
All in.
And that's nothing. But if you saw this place when it opened, it was bare bones. It was borderline sad. It was fine, but it was like, all right, white wall, wood wall, hard concrete floors. Imagine it chopped in half, and a pizza oven. And the pizza oven was like $35,000. And you got like all the permits and, all that stuff, sinks. But the important thing is that we did not have to like do huge plumbing, didn't have to do huge electrical, no HVAC. So we opened up for 100. So Andrew and I were 50-50 partners, and we were in it $50K each, and we got open, barely. But we did, with a little money in the bank too, like maybe one payroll, which I would not recommend doing. I'd recommend 2 months of operating costs in the bank. Yeah.
And that's so that you could...
Just if shit goes bad, you never know. Sales dip for some reason. You have to close for some reason. Insurance doesn't cover it. I'd say 1 month. 1 month. 2 payrolls, your rent. You're not going to have to pay for food, but you're going to want 1 month operating cost in the bank. When you're opening, I'd say almost like 3, but depending on your business plan and your budget, we all have these projections, right? It's all going to be sunshine and rainbows, and that's not. And then your projections, your sales are actually half. So now everything in your budget's thrown off. So you really got to prepare for the worst and be really conservative in those projections, because just because someone's doing the same sales in, say, the neighborhood you're going to open up in, well, they might be open for like 5-10 years. It's going to take time to get to that, so that's why keeping your opening cost so low is so important, because people dig themselves a hole they're never going to get out of. People have done it in our neighborhood. You dig it too deep, you're not getting out of it. Construction will put you out of business before you even open. If you don't know what you're doing, we were fortunate. it was minimal, and we had family members and friends who are in the construction industry. Andrew and I laid all the tile with the help of my dad, kind of laying it out, but just like putting tile on the wall. Andrew and I did that. The skill part, my dad helped us out with. But people need to be so careful with construction and don't get into some big project. Find an existing restaurant. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You get into an existing restaurant.
My goodness. I just saw it firsthand in Denver with Al, his client. And dude, Al makes the claim that he was supposed to open 4 months ago. And that just, this new build out is just eating up rent, delaying open, cost after cost after cost after cost. And I'm like, what the hell, man? What the hell? I mean, I think there are people in this world who can swallow that pill, right? But like, from someone who doesn't come from a lot of money, that's a hard ass pill to swallow. Right?
Yeah, and I think it all depends on the operator, what they're trying to do, what's their play, and if they knew they were getting into a new build out, is it a new building, an old building, but that's all right, because here's some advice. When you get a bid from a contractor, it's going to take twice as long and cost twice as much. There you go.
That's it.
That's going to happen. So it's just not where I came from. I came from the shoestring, just get it open and do it as cheaply as possible. But yeah, things get delayed. And
you just work through it.
Yeah, the problem is when you physically can't do something, you're at someone's mercy, right?
Plumbing doesn't show on time. You don't have running water.
Yeah.
You're like, what time is it? How come it feels like forever?
Yeah. So hey, you gotta get open somehow, right? But yeah, if your contractor is not showing up, if your plumbers aren't showing up, it's all money. You're paying rent. But it goes back to your plan that you originally had. You have to do so much planning with that construction. It can't have, they're waiting on me to make a decision. Hey, where do you want this? What kind of fixture do you want? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. Because if I don't give them the answer and they can't continue to work, then they go on their other job. Because all these contractors are doing multiple jobs at once. So it's on me to have all my ducks in a row, have everything laid out so I can hold them accountable of their bid and their schedule and when it's going to get done. They can't be like, well, you never told me what kind of drywall you wanted. No, it's right here, man. I told you it. Like, all right, now what's your next excuse?
Right. Well, I want to connect the bridge because you have a lot of experience in build outs. Even though you have one restaurant, you've taken this space and have expanded it pretty, I guess, in the nicest way possible, ridiculously. It's like quadrupled, maybe sextupled in size.
Yeah. Let me go over it? How it went?
In a second. I want to kind of connect the dots for folks. You said it takes steam, or it takes time for steam to happen. What was it like in the beginning, and how did you allow that steam to pick up, or what happened for the steam to pick up?
Yeah, so we opened up, like I said, we're here all the time. What Andrew and I agreed upon, and we're lucky enough to agree on almost everything, not everything, but more than most business partners, is that we're going to focus on two things. We're going to focus on guest experience, and we're going to focus on team experience. That's it. That's all we care about. We can't control a damn thing that happens outside of our doors. Those are the two things we're going to worry about, spend our time on, and make the best possible pizza. That's it. Every pizza coming out of the oven, going back to John, it's got to be a certain way. It has to have a strong bake. Can't have too much sauce. Can't have too much cheese. We had it clear to our team what we wanted, the type of hospitality that we gave to our guests. Had to be, we hired people that were genuine, and just really gave great hospitality. So we just did that every day, every day, every day. So 2 years came down the road, and the landlord approached us and said that the space next door to us was becoming available. So we're like, all right. So that was another 2,000 square feet.
That was the space behind you or right next to you?
Right next to it. So it was that square, and that square, which is about 1,200. And then the square behind our current kitchen, which is another like 450, call it. So like 1,700 we took. And yeah, that was 2.0. I call that Longbridge 2.0. So we hopped up to about, just under 3,000 square feet at that point.
But because you put that focus into the customer experience and the team experience, like you guys became a profitable business.
Yeah, man, we were so lucky. We were profitable the first 6 months. We opened up profitable. Why we opened up profitable is because Andrew and I were here working 60 hours a week, which we signed up for and we wanted to do because we had to figure out what the hell we were doing. But when you run small and lean, you keep your cost in check, which I've seen the bigger you get, the costs just start bubbling up. And you're not, or this is for myself, probably not as efficient as when we were with 1,000 square feet. Doesn't mean we're not making more money because now we're doing a higher volume. But like if you're looking at our net profit at the end of the month in our P&L, maybe back then we were doing like 15% at the end of the month. Now we've gotten bigger, and that's where Andrew and I have had to adapt and always be changing and growing and improving systems. Because my team, I've had some people, one guy just left to move back to his hometown in Mexico, but he was with me for 10 years. So he saw us once we got to 2 years, we were tight. We had our systems down for our space. All right, now we're taking another 1,500 square feet, whatever. Whole new systems now. We rearranged the kitchen. We get more pizza lines in. We're moving where the stretch is. We're turning ovens, Systems change. Bodies literally have to walk more. The more you have to walk, the more time it is, right? So
walk from station to station.
Yeah, the way our kitchen is laid out, we basically always have stretch top of an expo, but still, hey, you gotta go back to the walk-in. Well, now the walk-in isn't right here. It's 250 feet back, 25 feet back. So it's just you change, and then once we did that change, we built the hood a year later. Now we're turning the ovens again, putting in new cooking equipment. Now we have gas, so fryer, flat top grill, and new systems, new menu items. So it is, but it does start with that foundation. And Andrew and I always knew that. You have to just kill it every day, guest experience, team experience. And I might say team experience is more important than guest experience. Because if your team doesn't have a good experience at work, they're not, all vibing together, having, good time, still getting the work done, they're not going to provide the guest experience. So it starts with the team experience for me.
What do you do to cultivate that?
Not be a jerk. No. So what I do is I'm checking in with people. say, hey, how are things going?
Yeah.
You know, and not just like at work, you know, hey, the schedule all good, but hey, everything all right at home? Your schedule all right? You need any time off? Make sure that I'm giving them the tools and support to do the job. Nothing is worse when a boss, I don't know, whatever industry I was in, maybe restaurant.
Yeah.
But they're asking me to do something, but they never trained me. And then they get mad at me when I do it wrong.
Yeah.
Well, dude, you never trained me. What do you expect? I'm supposed to read your mind?
That does not work.
So what I do here is I'm talking to everyone. I'm always checking in with them, giving them the tools. They got everything. And we have our weekly leader meeting. I talk to my kitchen lead, Jose. I say, is there anything you need? Robocu's down. All right, well, let's try to fix the Robocu first, because those things are expensive. Can't fix it, get the electrician, get a new switch, can't do it. I buy a Robocu. You have the tools. I give them the support. I give them the training to do their job. And then we also do fun things, you know. We'll go to a ball game this year. For a holiday party, we went and saw Pitbull, Enrique Iglesias, and Ricky Martin down at Chase Center.
Nice.
Like hell yeah. We went and saw Santana one year, go-kart racing.
That's dope.
You know, we try to keep it fun, you know, and really, I also talk to them about what they want to learn, because one of our values here is growth. And I believe that we got to try to be 1% better every day, right? How are we going to do this better, you know? So I talk to them about, hey, I got you on Expo, or I got you on Expos for all the sous and the lead is Expo, but stretching, topping, oven, sandwiches, burgers, I want everyone to learn everything. And I tell them that you're going to be pushed. You're going to be outside your comfort zone. You're going to learn every station here. And when you get that down, I'll teach you Expo. But it's really, really important for me to be pushing my employees to learn new things. Because once you get comfortable, you know, one, they'll leave because they're the type of person who wants to go learn more. So I'll retain more people that way by, you know, giving them some growth and changing it up a little bit, not being so monotonous, like, all right, I'm just going to sit here and top pizza all day. No, man, lunchtime I'm topping, dinner I'm on the oven, you know. But going back to your question, how do I do that? It's giving them support and communicating with them. That's it. Sitting down, weekly check-ins. Yo, how's it going, man? All good? Schedule all right? You doing anything this summer? You need any time off? Let's get in, you know. Give us our 6 weeks that, you know, we request. But yeah, man, take your time off. We give people paid time off here. They accumulate it, and that's what it's for. Go on a vacation. Go somewhere with your family. It's really important that, you know, your job is your job, but you also have another life, and I understand that.
I think there are a subset of people who don't see the world the way you do. I like to think that I do. I like to think that, you know, I will have my employees' best intentions, and then I'll treat them like family. But I also know that you can do that at different levels in the journey. When you're starting off to where you've grown, like making investments in PTO, making investments in taking them out to field trips. Like, you can do all that fun stuff when you've grown. But like, I think one thing that you said that you can do at any stage of your business is you can communicate with them, check in with them, make sure that they know they're human and they know you're human, and that you got just care.
Yeah.
That seriously goes a long way, I think.
Absolutely. And you kind of touched on one thing. I say you might have to do it in the beginning, working with friends and family to get started. We had to do it. I had my brother in here. I had his friend in here. I had some friends who came with me, and it was always going to be temporary. I do not recommend ever working with friends and family and I would avoid at all cost doing that.
You're on my
do
team.
it.
You're on the same wife my team is, and
It ain't gonna work out. I mean, some people can compartmentalize, but they really can't. They're gonna, you call them out for something, they're gonna get defensive, they're gonna take it personal. I would probably do family before friends, because you're family and you gotta be family, so they won't, whatever, you can mess with your family. But the friend thing, stay away from. Just stay away from it. Don't do it. It's gonna be so tempting because they're there and they said, yeah, I can help you out, man, but I haven't had good experiences with it. And not saying all my experiences with friends and family have been bad, but I've heard other stories where it's like, all right, friendships were lost just because you're going to help me sell some pizza,
Yeah, I think that's the possible risk, right? Like, it could totally work out, but then just know that there is that risk where you could lose a friend, and is it worth it? You know what I mean? Like, is it worth bringing them on? Is it worth giving them a job and, thinking it's a favor? You could potentially lose that person as a friend. And I think that's a really solid point, because I have heard of people who've made it work.
And what I would even say is, if you do it, I would say plan on losing them, right? So me and Andrew were friends. So you're talking to someone who went into business with a good friend. But I tell people, we are not like the norm. Don't use us as an example. When we opened, we had a plan for us to get started, get solid, and he was going to take more of a silent role. He's still involved, but he lives in Lake Tahoe now with his family.
Got it.
And that was always the plan. But if we had opened up and that wasn't the plan, and then he springs that on me, hey, I'm moving up to Tahoe, you think we're friends anymore?
Fuck no.
No. So that's why in this business, everything goes back to planning and communication. I can't stress that hard enough. Planning, communication. And when you've done that, plan more and communicate more, because it will make your life so much easier and there won't be so much hurt feelings, I think you could say.
I like that advice. Going back to the build out, you all jumped on this opportunity. Was there like math involved in doing the expansion? Did you think that in order for you, I'm guessing that in order for you to produce more, you needed more space? Was that sort of the justification?
Yeah. So the way we did it, so we had the amount of space we were doing, then you get an architect to design it. So you get the drawings and you get, all right, architect, you're going to draw this. How much is it going to cost you? All right, 10 grand to draw it up, get the permits. So, all right, we get the architect, 10 grand. Then I go to a contractor. All right, I'm trying to develop this. Here's the plan. Give me a bid. All right, bid, $100,000. All right. Like I said, you might want to plan on 200. But here we were lucky enough. We had friends and family who knew what they're doing. So you could keep them pretty honest. And we did a lot of the work ourselves. We could do a lot of the work ourselves, which is very important. So then we got to fund the money. Got to get the money for it. So I took a loan from my uncle. Shout out Uncle Jim. Coolest uncle ever.
Awesome.
I love all my other uncles, but yeah, he lent me some money. Andrew got money together. We dump in another 50 each. I'm just using numbers. It might have been around that.
Sure.
So we're into it for another 100.
Okay.
And we got Longbridge 2.0. And we went from 24 seats to we got a new entrance and we got to like 54 seats. So we added 30 seats in another oven, which was great. But that's how you do it. You gotta get your architect, gotta get the drawings, gotta get a bid, get the funding, and then do it.
So when you had 24 seats, you obviously had limited seating, but like, were you guys strong in delivery or like takeout? And would you say that now that you've opened up more seats, has it become more sit down focused, or is it just the ability to have more people come through? Like,
yeah, the second one, louder. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Opening up the potential.
Yeah. And now we got a room back there that could fit 30 people seated for a private party. So if people want to come do that, they can do that. And I'll still have about 45 seats for just walk-in guests. So that's solid.
How do you price that out? Because I've seen people do like, oh yeah, book our small space and they pay a premium, or do you just tell people, order your pizzas, you're going to bring in 30 people? What's your thought process?
You are asking the wrong person, because we have gone through so many different things. All right. So what we have come up with for
Ask
now.
John Darsky, because he would be like, this is how you do it.
John would tell you in a second. He's got that beautiful back patio space at his restaurant downtown, and I'm sure he would give you the answer. Okay. So this is what we do. For 20 people, which makes that room pretty comfortable in a little standing socializing area. During the week, we ask for $30 per person, $600 minimum. So you come in, you order pizza. If you're drinking wine and beer, 20 people, they could rack up $800. And then they just go past the minimum. Friday, it's like $2,000, because Friday's our busiest day and we need those seats. And it's really important that we take care of our local community. And if they coming in, it's kind of a bummer if you go out and your favorite restaurant's a buyout, right? You're like, oh man, I wanted to have dinner here tonight. But you understand too, because the business has to make money. So that's what we do. We're just on the low end. No ifs, ands, or buts. That we are just on the cheap end. Not expensive. That's the right term.
Approachable.
Approachable. Super approachable. I like that one. But, we do try to, but it does go back to our vision for this company is to be approachable. That is absolutely it. And I love that you said that, because that's always been our vibe. I never want to be that place that's like, can I even, if I show up, am I even going to get a pizza? Like, how long am I going to have to wait? Are they going to have any pizza left? Not my vibe.
It might be good, but it's bougie as fuck.
Yeah, it's just not my thing. So we want to be approachable, and we want to be really give our community somewhere to go, and that's really important for us, is that we're a gathering place for the community. And I wanted to make it approachable. If, a local school's parents want to come in or bring some of the kids, take the room. It's super reasonable. That's really important for us. And that's what we want to do for our community.
That's great. And that's why I asked you earlier before we were recording, who's the other neighborhood spot? Because that's what I instantly get when I come and see your pizzeria. That's the vibe that I get, is that you all are the neighborhood spot and that locals come here and it's approachable. So I think you're executing on that.
Nice, man. Yeah, it's great to hear that, because it really, really is important to us.
I think, I would love to see the kitchen, and we could, if it's okay with you, talk sourdough in Detroit there.
Yeah.
You good with that?
Yeah, you want to do that? Do you want to talk about the once a day, once a week thing, or do that in there?
Oh yeah. We'll do that in there.
Yeah.
Is there before we wrap up? So I would encourage everyone listening, go check out the YouTube. That'll be there. But before we wrap up, I do have a couple more questions for you. Is there a Longbridge 3.0?
Yeah. So Longbridge 3.0 is the hood. It's the 16-foot hood. Then Longbridge 4.0 is the 1,000 square feet we took behind our current space. So that's where our dough production is, our employee break room, our office. That's Longbridge 4.0. So we've done 4 construction projects. No, 3. 3 construction projects that ended, and now we're at 4.0. And we are done. There's no more walls we could break down. Well, maybe not yet, but no, we're done.
Ever consider getting a parklet or anything like that?
It's too dangerous. 3rd Street, people drive like maniacs.
Gotcha.
They go down 60 down the street sometimes.
Goodness.
And kind of, you'll see it here, the lane kind of goes near the sidewalk. So that car there, It gets swiped all the time.
Ah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, what about like next to you and on both sides? So is there any space to expand there potentially?
No, not that way. That's the landlord's office. That's the property management office. So not there. And Tom is like the coolest neighbor ever, but he's been there for like 25 years, manufacturing. I don't even really know what he does. Something that they send to space or something really cool. And he gets this like intense like gas and propane, or not propane, but I don't know. He's super cool, but he's been there for a while. So he ain't going anywhere, I think, until he retires.
I guess like, what would you, assuming there was space, what would you add on? If anything, like, could you add on? Like, do you see a use case for it?
A bigger private dining room to hold bigger events. That would be it. If I could get a room that like did 80 people, that I would probably hop on that, depending on how much it's going to cost me, because we do see people coming back, working in the office more. And we get inquiries for that like 50 range, and our room just doesn't do 50. The rooms over here could do 50, but then I only have 12 seats for walk-in guests. So if I could get a room that could do like 50 to 75 person parties, I would probably hop on that, because there's good money on it, and it would leave more room for our locals in our community, because, you know, some weeks maybe we have 2 parties in the back. Well, that's a bummer, you know, maybe people have to wait, you know, it is what it is, you know, but it's not the end of the world. They have to wait, but I just want people to come in and chill. That's it, you know, not feel rushed, you know, just come in and chill. And if I had a different room for the parties, then our community and everyone could just come in with no problems. But like to say to put a bar in, not what we're looking to do, because that's not our concept. It's super profitable if ran correctly. I saw that Tony's like, dude, he has the coolest space ever. He's got that one side with the bar. People are having a great time. That would be something we could put here if we did take more space, but it doesn't fit our concept or our vision. And I know nothing about running a bar.
Can I push back a little bit?
Yeah.
Why couldn't your concept and vision evolve? Like, is there something against that? And then, like, I don't know, I hear about people just hiring the right person who could run that as a potential. So
yeah. So I think it goes back to, I kind of touched on it, being at someone else's mercy. So I hired that person.
Hypothetically speaking.
Yeah.
Or
if they leave.
Okay.
I can't do it. I've never bartended in my life. Yeah, I could hire another person. I've never had an employee do this to me, but I've heard of other people being handcuffed by their employees, right? So I open a bar here, and maybe I'm not happy with how something's done. Maybe something as easy as they're not cleaning the bar well enough. No pun intended. And they look at me and say, all right, then why don't you do it? Well, first of all, I hired the wrong person because they got terrible attitude. Yeah. But 2, I'd be like, all right, no, I don't know what I'm doing. You know, it's just not my wheelhouse. Because that's a whole nother business. When you see these restaurants, there's like 3 different things going on. There's the bar, there's the culinary, there's the service. It's like all these different departments, and the bar is its own thing. It's a whole nother beast. It could be super profitable because we all know the cost, but it has to be ran correctly. And when you introduce hard alcohol into a space, the vibe changes. And I'm really not trying to change my vibe. And the hard alcohol vibe isn't really our vibe. Not saying, you know, some people, you know, they're totally cool and they have a vodka soda, and they move on their day. But when you start creating that bar scene, other problems start coming with it, and it was never our vibe. Not that you couldn't have a cool place with a chill bar. You can do it, but I don't know how to do it, and I don't want to take that risk of, we're a family spot, right? We love having kids in here. It's super important to us that families in our neighborhood come see us. If I was able to build like a bar that was disconnected, like old school Chili's growing up, you had the bar side and then you had the dining room side, maybe that way. But a lot of these places, it's all kind of one, right? But yeah, you can't separate it, but it's just not our vibe or concept. And I don't know what the hell I'd be doing.
I have so much respect for you, dude. Yeah. Like, I think one thing that you didn't say, but I kind of picked up on is, what's enough. And I'm having more, I'm trying to have more of that outlook in life, is to know when you have a good thing and just keep it that way and protect it and let it be a good thing, right? Like that whole, ruining the vibe, adding on a bar, it struck me so hard because I totally have been to a place that it's like, oh, this has a bar. It invites madness a little bit.
Yeah, it could.
It could.
Absolutely could.
Or it smells different. It feels different. And you're right. You have a good thing going.
Yeah. And someone told me this, I don't know if it was Toyota or whatnot, but you ask yourself why 5 times. So you try to get to the root. Why would I be doing that? Why am I putting a bar in this place? And I would be really hard pressed to come up with a reason why, other than I think I can make more money. Because I never wanted it. It wasn't in our vision. But to go, when a lot of the things here, we're always asking why and explaining why. When I train people, I make sure I say, do it this way because, and they start to realize how many things affect other things. It's like, well, if this happens, it's going to trigger this and this down the line. And then there's 5 different stages that it will affect. But nothing's worse than being told what to do and not why. Well, why, boss? Because I told you so. No. Worst fucking response ever. We do it this way because, and it affects other things. And this is how I want it done. And, we bake it this way because when a guest gets a pizza, we want them to be able to fold it and it stands straight. It doesn't have to be super, super crispy, but it's just how we want to do it. And different techniques and processes will get us there. It's my job to explain and train them.
It's beautiful. I had something in my mind, but I think that is, just a great place to end. Final question for you.
Yep.
No right or wrong answer. What's good dough?
This right here. This conversation, what we're talking about is what's good. This is what it's about. And I've been meaning to tell you for a long time. This isn't going to be so, Eidref. But what you do for the pizza community is freaking awesome. Because more when I was starting, it was it was kind of more, people aren't sharing stuff. There's not as much stuff on the internet. Maybe there was, and I wasn't looking for it. But having this as a resource, man, is so freaking awesome for people trying to get started who are thinking they're about getting started. And then us just sitting here BSing and, just kind of vibing back and forth, just like we were before, and maybe we'll have a beer after. But this is what's good. It's just sitting down, talking pizza. We'll talk some more pizza in the back also.
Tune in for that. Thank you, man.
Yep.
Thank you so much. And that one thing that was on my head was that communication. Yeah, that's what it's about. Whether it's about telling your staff why to this.
Yep. That's what it's about, man. Boom.
Do you want a chance to win a $250 Uni gift card? Well, this is how you do it. Within the next 3 months, if you purchase something from uni.com using my affiliate link, send me your receipt. Each receipt that you send me, whether it's yours or a friend's or a neighbor's, will give you one entry into a raffle that will be giving away a $250 Uni gift card. That's all you have to do. All right, happy buying and best of luck. And thank you for supporting me and my show sponsors.